Right guys, today we have a sample exam question. So we're going to read through it and see how we're going to go about solving it. So a company employs two drivers, John and David, each use a company car and a small van. The company buys €30, I'm going to highlight that, worth of toll tags for each driver. Each time a vehicle goes through the M50, a charge will be deducted from the toll tags. John is one person we need to know about here. He goes through the toll 5 times in his car, 4 times in his van, and he has $7.90 remaining. David goes through the M50 toll twice in his car, 6 times in his van, and he has $8.40 remaining. Calculate how much it costs for a car and a van to go through the M50. Okay, so we have two unknowns, the cost of a car and the cost of a van. So when we have two unknowns, but also two pieces of information, we need to recognize that this is a simultaneous equation. Okay, and I'm going to write that short because we're going to need all the room we can get. So the first step, and maybe the most important, is that we are going to label C as the cost for the car and V as the cost for the van, and of course they'll both be in euros. Okay, the word cost is very important there. Right, so let's have a look at John, and we're going to use J for short for John. So he has €30 on his toll tag, and after it's used he has $7.90 remaining. Sorry, $7.90 remaining, which leaves him with, or which means that he spent €22.10. Okay, so John goes through 5 times in the car, so that will be 5C, the cost of the car, 4 times in the van plus 4V. The cost of that is $22.10. We're going to drop the euro sign for a while, just keep it as numbers. Next we're looking at David, which will be D for short. David goes, sorry, let's look at his money first. So he has €30 on his toll tag as well, and he has $8.40 remaining. So that means that David spent $21.60 on the toll. So David uses the car twice and the van 6 times, and the total cost of that is $21.60. Okay, so we need to figure out 1C, the cost for the car, and 1V, the cost for the van. What we need to do is we need to align either the van or the car. So I'm going to multiply John's numbers by 2 and David's numbers by 5. So you'll see if I multiply John's numbers by 2, okay, it'll bring the car to 10, and if I multiply David's numbers by 5, it'll bring the car to 10. They'll be aligned. Okay, so John by 2 will be, so I'm going to just do the J here, 10C plus 8V equals 44.20. Okay, you can use a calculator for all this if you're not sure. David's, D for David, times 5, 10 C plus 30V equals 108.00. The reason we brought them to the same for the cars is so that they can be eliminated. So we're going to do takeaway, and I'm going to do the takeaway upside down. You might see why in a second. So 10C minus 10C would be 0. 30V minus 8V will be 22V. Okay, it leaves the negatives out of it. 108 minus 4420 leaves me with 6380. So let's just go back to words here. This tells us that the cost of going through the M50 in a van 22 times will cost €63.80. So we can divide by 22 on the left and the right, and we'll find that the cost for a van is 2.90. Okay, so the van costs €2.90. We also need to know the price of the car, so we can refer back to our simplest equation. I think our simplest equation is 2 times the car plus 6 times the van equals 21.6. 2 times the car plus 6 times the van, which is 2.9, is 21.6. 2 times the car plus 6 times the van is 17.4. Going to take away 17.4 on both sides here to tell us 2 times the car costs 420, and we'll divide by 2 here on both sides to find that the car costs 210. Okay, so what colors will we use here? Go back to yellow. So the cost of the car is €2.10, and the cost of the van is €2.90, which makes sense because bigger vehicles cost more to go through the M50 toll.